All right. We are live. Hello, hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday.
Hey.
And you know the drill. I got to share it to my page.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Keep it open here. Come on in and make yourselves comfortable. This is going to be a great conversation tonight.
Yes.
Hi, Monica. Thank you for tuning in. So excited to be on with y'all tonight. It's going to be great, great, great. And I know it's been a couple of weeks since we've had a relationship talks conversation. So, another reason why I'm excited to be with you all tonight. Hi, Miss Minnie. Thank you for tuning in. Okay. So we'll wait one more minute. When the clock says 8:02, we will go ahead and get started. Come on in the room, make yourself comfortable, bring your conversation into the room tonight, your questions, your comments. We would love for this to be an interactive discussion.
Yes.
And you already, hopefully, you've seen the flyer or the description in this video to know that we're talking about coping with loneliness tonight. It's going to be really, really good. All right, so my clock says 8:02, and we will go ahead and get started. So, for those of you, if this is your first time tuning in, my name is Siobhan Carter. I am the You Relationship Coach, and what that means is I am passionate about all things concerning relationships, especially the relationship that you have with yourself. And tonight, I have the pleasure of being joined by my sister, Miss Keah L. Mason. And so before I give you the information about how I know her, let me read a little bit of her bio so that you can know some interesting facts about her. So Keah L. Mason is an elementary school teacher in Maryland. As an instructional leader, she develops reading curriculum and instructional activities for elementary students. She is also a certified lead facilitator for Real Women Rock. Woo! A nonprofit organization that focuses on the personal growth and development of women. So that's a little bit about that's the formal introduction about Keah, but I have also known Keah for a number of years now. I don't even know how long at this point.
Yeah.
But we've gotten to know each other intimately through Real Women, and we've hosted game nights, singles game nights together.
Miss those. I miss those.
No, I'm so mad, especially, yeah. So it's right. I don't even want to get into it, but yeah. So we have known each other, and probably about the last 3 years, we have been working together on her new book entitled "When Loneliness Visits," which is published by my publishing company, Purpose Publishing Company. So, before we get into more about her book, Keah, what else would you like to tell the people about you?
I think you said it all. I'm an elementary school teacher, and that is my heart. And also, just have the privilege of being a facilitator for Real Women, and now a writer. In addition to those things, I love me some kickball, love me some Golden Girls, and I like long walks on the beach. Yeah, I think that covers it. I'm just glad to be here. I'm excited about this conversation.
Yeah, it's going to be so good because I think this is a topic that we don't talk about enough.
Yeah.
And so we're going to dig into it. So tonight, like I said before, the topic is or coping with loneliness. And Keah just published a book which releases on Monday, February the 22nd. Woo! And it's been a long journey for Keah. So this
Yes,
is
Lord.
this is truly a celebration. But just to give you a little bit about the book. So When Loneliness Visits invites you on a journey through Keah's personal experiences and your own reflections to explore how loneliness can result in negative beliefs, isolation, and toxic behaviors. This book will inspire you to shift from a path of self-destruction to a path of self-discovery, learning how to confidently address loneliness when it comes to visit. So that's why we're talking about this topic
Okay.
today.
Knocking on that door.
Because it comes, right? Like we can try to deny it and act like loneliness is only for certain types of people,
Come
but
on.
that is not the case. And we are going to dispel that myth on tonight.
Mm-hmm.
And what I can appreciate is that I have had the opportunity to read your book because I am also the publisher. And so just to be able to read through your book and just see how transparent you are in sharing your journey of with loneliness and your experience. So before we even get into the depths of the conversation, what is loneliness? Like, what does it even mean?
So I think loneliness for all of us is just a degree of sadness and heaviness. Feeling some type of way that's not good, just about the absence and the lack of company or companionship, or just being surrounded by others.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
if you're watching this, I would love to hear what your definition of loneliness is too. Like, how do you define loneliness? What does it mean, and what does it look like for you?
Mm-hmm.
So, in your book, you assert that loneliness isn't just experienced by singles, because a lot of people feel like,
Yeah.
you only experience loneliness when you're single, but that it can look different depending on your situation. So, tell us
Yeah.
more about that.
Yeah, so that was something I wanted to be very intentional about while writing the book, having that perspective in mind that although I am single, so that's obviously very much of my perspective, loneliness hits all of us. You can be married and feel lonely, and not even in a bad marriage. Maybe things are going great and you have a wonderful relationship with your spouse or your significant other, but you could still experience loneliness. You could experience loneliness in friendships, and even as a parent, when your kids grow up and they start to need you less and less, and they want to be around you less, and
Yeah.
if you're an empty nester, you experience loneliness. You might experience loneliness at church. I talked about how at some point in the book, I think I shared about how I wasn't selected to be on a ministry
Yeah.
that I was trying to be a part of, and that brought about feelings of loneliness because those negative feelings of oh, I'm not good enough and I'm not chosen and I'm not picked. So anything like that. I remember feeling lonely about kickball or just various things. I mean, as I'm aging, and lots of us are at this point in life, our loved ones are transitioning. So our grandparents and our parents, and we're experiencing loneliness because of those things. And just all kind of things. If you're retired or divorced, or maybe you've moved and relocated to somewhere else, you have the potential to feel lonely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love what Miss Minnie said. She said, to me, it's the lack of real connection with others.
Absolutely.
Wow. That has been my experience. When I have experienced loneliness, it's because I have disconnected myself or isolated myself from others. And so I don't, feel that intimacy with people, whether it's men or women,
And I love that, Minnie. Thank you, Miss Minnie. Thank you for sharing that, because that definition aligns with the fact that you could feel that and still be surrounded by people. But if you're in a room full of people, it doesn't matter, because if you don't feel like you connect to them, or with them, then you still could feel lonely.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
not just about physical presence.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So I love that. And like you said, it could be in any type of relationship,
Mhm.
dynamic. So it's not just reserved for singleness.
Absolutely.
So what kind of feelings have you experienced that surfaced from loneliness?
Mm. So loneliness for me, and even in asking other people their opinions and their thoughts,
Mm-hmm.
loneliness has a negative connotation usually. And
Yeah.
so all of the words and the feelings associated with loneliness are like sad words, and they're like heavy. I'm talking isolation and um abandonment,
Mm-hmm.
rejection, neglect, um, feeling unworthy or feeling unloved or just a huge lack or a void. Those are some things that are heavy. And so usually when people think about loneliness, it's all negative things that come to mind.
Yeah, yeah. And so with that negative connotation,
Yeah.
oftentimes we try to avoid it, right? Or we
Yeah.
try to cope, we try to mask it, we try to suppress it because we just don't want to deal with what comes with it or how we perceive it.
You're trying to put a band-aid on it. Because
Mhm.
who wants to feel that way? When you feel bad, when you feel you're not feeling your best, right? If you're sick or you just don't feel good, you're going to take some medicine.
Mhm.
So you're going to do something because you don't want to feel that way. And
Yeah.
the same is true for loneliness. If loneliness makes us feel not good,
Mhm.
then we're going to do something about it so that we don't have to feel that way.
Yeah, yeah. And just thinking about if we're being real, if I'm being real with myself, loneliness has led to some
Come
toxic
on.
behaviors.
Mm.
Loneliness has got me in some trouble. Um, where it's just like, in that moment, I'm just feeling this impulse. Like you said, I want to put a band-aid on it. So I
Mhm.
don't want to feel it. So let me find something that makes me feel good. And most of the time it would be running to another person, you
Come
know,
on.
a man, not just
Mhm.
a woman, but a man. And so just trying to get some type of temporary satisfaction. I
Mhm.
don't realize it's temporary, in that moment, but, just trying to get some type of fulfillment or satisfaction,
Mhm.
just to fill that void. So,
Mhm.
and in the book, you talk about, the toxic ways that you coped with loneliness. So
Yeah.
more about that without giving too much away because we want them to read the book, but just give us
Yeah.
a little bit about that.
Yeah, so toxic behavior, like you said, and for me, it can be a person. If something ain't work out over here, I'm gonna go over there and
Yeah.
just so I feel better.
Mhm.
But it might be a bowl of ice cream, it might be a Snickers bar.
Yeah.
It don't have to be a person. For me, I talk about food. I talk about overeating, or I'm going shopping. I ain't got no money, but honey, if I got a credit card, charge it.
Yes.
Because I want to feel better. I have to do something. Nobody wants to sit in loneliness, right?
Mhm.
You want to be unlonely because you don't want to feel that way. So we're often naturally looking for ways to cope so we don't have to do it. So whatever your coping mechanism is to make you feel good, whether it's something physical, or I want to eat this, or I want to buy this, or I want to go on this trip, I know I ain't got no money, or whatever it is that you want to do to feel better, tends to be what you gravitate towards.
Yeah. And I'm thinking about how timely is this discussion because we're in the middle of a pandemic. Hopefully, we're at the end, towards the end of it. But
Yeah.
for the past year, we have been stuck in the house. So I
Mhm.
can just imagine how loneliness has kicked in for a lot of people,
Yeah.
being confined to our homes, not being able to do those things that we're normally used to doing. And so we may experience feelings of loneliness and then start to do things like I know I have ordered so many things online, like
Yeah.
just Amazon, just all kind of stuff just cope with just the
Yeah.
feeling of being confined,
Yeah.
so if there are people out there who are experiencing loneliness right now, we hope that you can be encouraged by this conversation, because we
Yeah.
understand how just traumatizing this year has been for us, on
Mhm.
top of losing loved ones, and just even if we have been stricken with COVID-19, and just so many things that have happened, loss of jobs, and all of that, so much loss. So not only are we grieving, but we're also dealing with loneliness. So I just hope
Yeah.
that you'll be encouraged, by
Mhm.
tonight's conversation. And this conversation isn't to pass judgment, or to be
Mhm.
like, girl, or honey, you shouldn't have did that, because you're dealing with loneliness. We just want you to know that you are not by yourself, right?
Yeah.
And we just want you
Absolutely.
to be encouraged, that we understand, we have gone through it, we have had healthy and unhealthy responses to loneliness. So we just want to, lift up this conversation for you.
Mhm.
So let's see, what did Miss Minnie say? What you say? Loneliness leads to toxic behaviors for validation or temporary fixes that makes it worse.
Absolutely.
Right? Because we don't realize it. It's just almost like, I love French fries. I love French fries. But every time I eat French fries, it doesn't make my body feel good.
Right.
It feel good, but I really like to eat it. So it's the same thing. It's like that temporary fulfillment, and then we realize after the fact that it's
Yeah.
just not, not
Mhm.
satisfying us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or, and even, if you decide that I want to have some French fries every now and again, and that's something that you want to have in moderation to treat yourself,
Mm-hmm.
there isn't anything wrong. So the things that bring us comfort,
Mm-hmm.
there isn't anything wrong with us going towards those things.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that it becomes toxic when we are codependent on those things.
Yeah.
Because what happens if we're using those things to fill us up because
Mm-hmm.
we're trying to avoid that emptiness,
Yeah.
when it's over, when you finish eating those French fries, you're gonna still feel empty.
Still gonna
So
feel
eat the French fries because you want some French fries, and
right.
this is what you want, and this is what you're gonna do today because you want them, but
Mm-hmm.
not because you're trying to fix something. And that's the difference. When you're gravitating towards whatever your thing is that brings you comfort,
Mm-hmm.
when it's to cure or fix the loneliness, I think that's when it becomes toxic.
And I'm so glad that you said that, because that's why it's important to be with those emotions,
Come
because like you
on.
said, they aren't going anywhere. And those temporary fixes are just, band-aids on them. And then, when that situation or that food or whatever, when you're done with that, when you've consumed it, and then here come the feelings again. So at some point, you're going to have to face, the emotions and embrace them, and just all that kind of stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
let's talk about that. So in your book, you talk about just the shifting your perspective, right? So there's one way we can look at loneliness, and then there's another lens that we can
Yeah.
look at loneliness through. So
Yeah.
tell us about that. What's another way that we can look at it?
So, like I said earlier, loneliness typically does not make us feel good. And it is not easy to endure. When loneliness comes to visit you, that is not a guest that you're going to want at your house. You are not rolling out the red carpet and telling it to make itself at home.
Mm-mm.
Um, that's for certain. However, it's going to come.
Yeah.
And we really cannot change those circumstances that we face,
Mm-hmm.
but our responses to them can be different. And I think that for me, I just found that my responses are different to how I react to loneliness when I have accepted that this is not here to harm me,
Mm-hmm.
nor is it here to punish me, nor does it indicate that there is something wrong with me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the perspective. So ain't nobody unlonely these days, and still single and all of those things,
Yeah.
but I am just a little more peaceful. Not that I don't get lonely and feel some type of way about being by myself so often,
Mm-hmm.
but the lies and negative self-talk have stopped, because what loneliness did for me, yeah, I engaged in some ugly things, and I went in an ugly direction, but eventually I went chasing right after God
Yeah.
at his feet and asking him to take those feelings and filter them with his truth. And
Mm-hmm.
so that was a part of my healing and a part of just the revelation, which I don't think for me would happen with the company of other people. Because what was happening is I feel like I'm some daggone body if I have this person, if I
Yeah.
have that person, or if
Yeah.
you're validating me, or if you're telling me I'm pretty, or you're telling me I'm smart, or all of those things. But when God doesn't allow you to have those things and you got to just rely on him and his truth, that breaks the codependence, right? And it breaks the cycles and it breaks the chains. And so again, it's not that you never experience being lonely, but that you become able to look at that glass as half full
Yeah.
instead of half empty. And
Mm-hmm.
so my loneliness is not a punishment. I stopped thinking about it as something I had to wrestle with and fight and avoid and numb. Rather, I have tools now. I can sit with this. When I feel lonely, ooh, it's a part of me that says, "What you want to do?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
okay, you want some company? Who you gonna call?"
Mm-hmm.
And not in a codependent way, but in a way that I am vulnerable enough to reach out, because I can reach out and extend myself to friendship, but I'm not going to break and I'm not going to have a breakdown if you say I can't make it.
Come
I'm
on,
not able to
Keah.
attend. You know what I'm saying? So the perspective has had to change. Not that we don't deal with the same type, because we need companionship. God placed all of that on us to
Mm-hmm.
have that desire for fellowship and companionship. So that's not the unnatural thing.
Mm-hmm.
But what is not the best for us is that codependent that pull that we get, that power that we give to other people and to other things to
Yeah.
make us happy, when the work comes in us discovering that we hold all the keys to that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you know, one of the things, this is so good. It gets me so excited talking about it, because this is the key, that if we give ourselves permission to be with our loneliness,
Yeah.
not tolerate it, but really be with it,
Yeah.
and think about what it came to tell us. If we look at it like a check engine light that's saying, hey, I just need you to focus a little bit more underneath the surface so that I can tell you, hey, I want some more quality time with self, or hey, let's connect, with our friends, in a deeper way. And so that's what I have learned that it has done for me. And even if it is uncomfortable, just increasing my capacity to be uncomfortable. Because
Yeah.
like you said, it's not here to harm me or to make me feel bad or anything else. It's just an indicator that, hey, I want to spend some time with you, and there's something that I need to say, and so this is my way. This emotion rising up is my way of saying that. So it's sometimes I just sit and cry if I need to, or I just reach out, hey, I'm gonna go over to my girlfriend's house, and be like, hey, let's have some girlfriend time or whatever, like you said. But it's just, I've welcomed it now, and that wasn't my response, before.
Yeah. That's awesome. Because you're pulling from the pieces of you
Yeah.
to fulfill those things and not other people. So it's coming from within you.
Yeah.
And that's the discovery, and that's the part I'm so excited about, that's a part of the book, because everybody that reads this book is going to be on their own journey.
Yeah.
I'm just like kind of introducing you and telling you what it was for me, but it's going to be so much fun to uncover and unpack what that looks like for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think also with the book, like you said, you invite them on your journey, right? So that they can go on their own. So I think it's a beautiful way to let them know they're not by themselves, So it's like, look, I understand. I've been there. Here is my story. Here are the things that I've gone through. And now I invite you to think about what it looks like for you, how it shows up in your life. So I love that you offer that to the people in your book. So that's why we are saying that you need to get this book. Now, you don't have to wait until Monday. You can pre-order it today. The link is in this description for you to pre-order, because it's a really great book. And if you're experiencing loneliness right now, it will be a great companion for you, and a source of encouragement for you and inspiration. So,
I think so too.
mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So, what have you ultimately learned in your moments of loneliness?
So many things. I I think, okay, if I got to choose one thing, one of those things is that oftentimes what I'm lonely for and what I'm searching for and what I need is within me.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Hmm.
that's so good.
And so for me, and y'all, if y'all know nothing about real women, y'all gotta come to real women. And this is where this work was done, for me in my life and where it started for me. But being a part of that has helped me to discover who I am, right, and what I want. Because look, we so codependent. We want everybody else to make us happy. We don't even know what it is. We don't even know what to tell them.
Mm-hmm.
But discovering, for ourselves, what do I like and what makes me happy, what makes me smile, and all of those things. And then for me, I like literally just kind of picked myself apart, like unpacked myself. And I'm like, Keah, you have a side of you that is this, that is this, that is this. I have a side that, for example, a side that retreats in quiet time. I want to be by myself sometimes, and that's therapeutic for me. But I have another part that longs for connections and fellowships, and I need those game nights
Yeah.
and that sisterhood. And there's another part of me that's like a teacher and organized and very structured. There's another part of me that's like, I'm not doing nothing but sitting on the couch watching Hallmark movies all day. And so, like, knowing all of those things, though, it allows me that when I feel a void, when I feel some type of way, I'm like, which part, let me see which part needs
Yeah.
to come forward, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So all of those pieces have, like, for me, have learned to work together. And when one needs to shift or move over, still, it's not like, oh, I'm cutting you off. We don't need you, and you don't mean that's no good, or because we got some pieces that may not be the best or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They're just not appropriate all the time. But when that happens, it's like, learn to shift them, move them over. But what you need is in you.
Yeah.
And so for me, that's been the biggest thing I've learned with loneliness, because I'm not unlonely. I'm not. If loneliness is mainly about other people, I can't say that I have that, especially not now, during the pandemic.
Right.
Um and furthermore, I won't go into this long, but my life has changed just drastically
Yeah.
within the last few months in the physical loss and passing of my mom.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a whole nother level, because for your whole life, for 38 years, you were somebody's daughter,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
but loneliness will say, well, your parents are in heaven, you're no one's daughter anymore. But mindset says, your parents didn't change. They still your parents. They
Yeah.
live somewhere else, but
Yeah.
they're still your parents. And so that mindset, it's like, it is not about a physical presence. It's not physical. It's mental. And
Wow.
it's what you feed yourself.
Wow.
Whatever you feed yourself is going to be what grows. It's
Mm-hmm.
going to be what is big in your life, and it's going to be what you believe. It's going to be what you project. It's going to be what you attract. And
Mm-hmm.
so I have to be intentional about what I feed myself. So yeah, I have days like today.
Mm-hmm.
I want to call my mom.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
feelings was hurt today. My little heart was broken today. I want to call my mom.
Yeah.
So loneliness will say, well, good luck with that one. You know what I'm saying? You can't. Now ain't nobody call, I'm nobody's daughter. But
Mm-hmm.
the mindset says, didn't you have her for 38 years?
Mm-hmm.
You know what she would say.
Right.
You look in that mirror, you're going to see her.
Mm-hmm.
Open your mouth and you're going to hear her. But
Yeah.
that's a choice.
Right.
You know what
Right.
I'm saying? So the
Absolutely.
feeling is one that I can't help. It's going to come up, that need and longing for my mom.
Mm-hmm.
But my response to it, I'm
Right.
going to feed the positive versus staying in the, I don't have nobody. I don't have
Right.
my here. And I.
Yeah. And that's the work. That's what it looks like. That's a beautiful description of one, the importance of of doing the work, right? Because it gives us a choice. We can find out more beautiful gems and treasures about ourselves. We learn so much,
Yeah.
as we experience these emotions and this loneliness and all other things, grief, all of those things that we experience provides us with an opportunity to have a deeper, richer, more fulfilling relationship with ourselves and with those around us, right? So that's what doing the work looks like. It's like, okay, let me see what's going on. Let me ask the question, hey, what are you experiencing right now? What am I feeling? And giving ourselves space to feel instead of suppressing, unless you're, on the go and you just don't have time. But when you get a moment, just ask yourself, what's going on with me right now? What am I feeling? What am I experiencing? Give yourself space to process that. And then, like you said, it's like, okay, so I have a choice to make. How do I want to view this? What's happening? And how do I want to view this? I can view this from one lens, and how is that going to make me feel viewing it that way? And then I can view it for another lens. And will that, give me more encouragement, more empowerment so that I can continue to move forward? And
Yeah.
you may be on both sides in the middle and somewhere in between, you know what I mean? But it's just giving ourselves permission to feel. If you learn nothing else from this here meeting that we have, this discussion, give yourself permission to feel stuff. I know for me that was something that I had to learn, and I didn't learn until I started therapy in my 30s. I
Yeah.
suppressed my emotions, so I didn't know that there was a range of emotions that you can feel, and that I needed to give myself space to feel it. And some people say, well, oh, what if, feeling this will cause me to go down a downward spiral, right? It's like, what if that's going to cause me to just fall apart? Maybe, that's what needs to happen. Maybe you've been
Mhm.
trying to hold on to it for too long, right? And you
Mhm.
just need to let
Mhm.
go and just fall apart.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's loneliness can be a beautiful thing if we look at it that way.
Yes,
Mhm.
absolutely.
So
Yeah.
what encouragement do you have for people who are dealing with loneliness, in this season of their life, in this moment? What encouragement do you have for them?
Like you said, just knowing that it can be a beautiful thing. I know at the beginning we talked about feelings and words associated with loneliness, and they do sound and usually seem very negative, but those are not the only words. Loneliness for me has also led to me being more intentional
Mhm.
about going after what it is that I want, being happy. And it's like, look, if this company I want, I'll host a game night,
Yeah.
or I'll initiate something, or I'll be the one to reach out. So led me to intentionality, led me to healing and just discovering myself, which would have never happened if I didn't feel lonely.
Wow.
Like those things that the good things that can result in whatever we are afflicted by, even if loneliness is not your thing,
Hmm.
whatever growth and change occurs in your life, it's as a result of your hardship.
Hmm.
We don't grow unless we go through
Yeah.
something. And
Hmm.
and so, just like I don't know, think I'm trying to think of some cheesy common analogies about how flowers and plants grow when
Yeah.
it's water, it has to
Yeah.
rain, those things. And the same thing I think is true for our lives. And so knowing that loneliness is going to come and visit, it
Mm.
is inevitable, and it will at various points in our lives, but when it does, we have the power of how we are going to greet that visitor in our lives. We can greet it with bitterness and anger, and we can keep doing the same thing we were doing, engaging in toxic behavior, or making it just make us think less about ourselves.
Yeah.
But who does that honor? Who
Hmm.
does that benefit?
Hmm.
So we can keep thinking that, or we can decide, what, I can't help that I feel lonely today, but I can help my reaction and my response to it. And if
Yeah.
what I've been doing hasn't made me feel good and it's not allowing me to be my best self, what can I do different?
Yeah, that is so good. And I want to point out, like he and I have been doing personal development work on ourselves individually for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so
Mm-hmm.
if you're watching this and you're like, yeah, that sounds great, but I'm just not there. Like I can't shift my perspective that fast,
Yeah.
So especially for women, like I don't know what the experience is like for men, but I would say for a man or a woman, if you are experiencing loneliness and you feel like you're stuck and you're just at a place where you can't move, find professional help, like whether
Yeah.
it be a counselor, whether it be, you know, a coach, whether it be finding support groups. For women, we have realwomenrock.org, where you can come, and we're actually having a sister circle on this Saturday. It's a free,
Nice.
sister circle that you can go to. It's at 11 o'clock, and we're talking about, living authentically. So it's a great way, and it's virtual. So you can just go to realwomenrock.org and find out more about how to be a part of this amazing safe space that Keah and I can attest to, that it has really been instrumental in our personal development and our personal growth. So if you're just trying to figure out how do I even, take that first step, those are some things that I will offer, to you in addition to purchasing Keah's book. Oh, so speaking of your book, it will be released on Monday, February
Yeah.
22nd. So tell people where they can buy a copy. How do they get it?
So you can purchase your copy at purposepublishingcompany.com/Keah Mason. And Keah is spelled Keah.
Yeah, yeah. And I have put it in the description of this video so that you can just click on it and go ahead and purchase your copy. And we're so excited you can get the ebook version, which will be available on Monday on Amazon. So you can check it out for the ebook version, or you can pre-order the paperback copy today, right now. Click on it and get it, so that you can experience Keah's amazing story, and so that you can also begin your journey with loneliness. So,
Mm-hmm.
how can we find you on social media? If people want to stay in contact with you, how can they find you?
Yeah, so I am on Facebook. So Keah L Mason, and Instagram as well. That one is Keah Mason. And connect with me that way. I'm on YouTube as well. Again, Keah Mason. So yeah, type in Google Keah Mason.
Yes, you're going to find her. Yes. So I am so grateful. Thank you, Keah, for
Thank
being on with
you.
me tonight and sharing your story. And my mom says she is going to order it. Is enjoying this conversation. Um, so excited. So thank you for sharing your story and just being on with us tonight, and introducing us to your book, and
Thank
just sharing a
you.
little bit about loneliness. So I think if nothing else, I hope you were encouraged by tonight's conversation. If nothing else, just to know that you're not alone, and there are ways that you can cope in a way that serves and honors you. So
Yeah.
yeah. So thank you all. And I know we have not been here for the past 2 weeks, but we do have another episode lined up next week. My special guest will be Nat Burns, who is my co host for the new podcast that we just launched on Valentine's weekend, called What's the Situation Podcast. So you can find us on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, and you can check out our page on Facebook, What's the Situation Podcast, or you can check us out on Instagram, What's the Situation _PC. And we are going to be dissecting the anatomy of relationships, all types of relationships. So if you want to hear, the urban intellectual, a man's point of view on what's on relationships, or just, my little point of view from the You Relationship Coach, please tune in next week and find out more information about our podcast. And you can go to all those platforms that I just mentioned to listen to our very first episode. We're really excited, and we can't wait for more. So until next week, thank you all for watching. Good night.
Good night.